What is up, guys? Sente here, and I got a lot of positive response on my first life and death video, so as promised, I'm going to try to do some more. There are some changes in what I said in the last video, and if you haven't seen that and you're a beginner, it would be a great video for you to see. I'll put it in the description below. I think that because life and death, there are like 900 problems, and a lot of the concepts are kind of repeated, it would be inefficient to do all of them. There'd be a lot of repetition, and it would take away my time, what little time I have to try to make other videos for you guys. So I think I'm going to do every 50 problems. That would mean you can practice the first 50 with me giving you the answers to 1 through 12, and then you would just, keep repeating. So I think that'd be a better idea, and it would introduce more concepts more efficiently. So that's the idea. Hope you enjoy this one. It's on making eyes false and most efficient ways to live. As usual, just some things to say. There are no solutions to this that I own. These are all solutions of my own design. And additionally, it is always black to move, and it can either be living, killing, seki, or ko. I'm not going to tell you which one. They don't tell you which one. You just have to find the best result yourself. So pause the video when each problem comes up, take a look, see what you can see, and keep watching for the answers. And I hope you learn a lot. Let's get started. All right, so problem number 1. This is actually definitely the difficulty has increased since the last problem set in the very first few. So if you took a look at this, hopefully you can see some key points, and if not, now you'll be able to see them. So immediately for me, the ones that pop out are here and here. Now, why do those pop out? Well, this one, let's focus on this one. This one is a critical point. To make eyes for white. If we were to see white play here, white is only one move away from making 2 eyes. There's really nothing black can do about that. The way the other 1 point pops out at me is, if black plays here, it activates the double throw-in that we remember learning from the first set. The double throw-in on the side, this is just a double throw-in in the middle. If white takes, unfortunately, it doesn't quite work yet, because if black now plays at the critical point, white can just make the second eye, and there's no problems. However, these 2 points are very important, and the order with which you try to play them matters. So if you can identify a few critical points, try to move the order around in your brain and be like, well, what if I play this one first? What can white do? Turns out, if black plays this one first, that's the killing move. Because if white takes the stone, black will play here, and now white has 1 eye and is dead. If white plays here, black executes the double throw-in, and now white has only 1 eye and white is dead. So identifying these two critical points for the double throw-in tactic we learned in the last video, and just keeping white from making two eyes, is a good first start, but you have to make sure you get the order right. And so it turns out A13 was the answer, followed up by the double throw-in at C12. All right, next problem. This time it's black to live. And we can simplify the problem by realizing that, first, this will always be an eye for black. There is no way white will ever be able to take this eye away from us. So really the question becomes not how do you make two eyes, but how do you make one eye from this space? Our first inclination might be to try to save this stone, but we have to do some reading to figure out if that actually works. We can start simple. White tries to push in, and black simply defends. Now white has this move. And this is a really strong move because black can't do this because it's a self-Atari. So black has to play here, and white can do that and pop out black's other eye, meaning that move fails. So if black can't defend that stone, what can he do? Well, we saw that C11 was a problem, so what if black does this? But unfortunately, that critical point, D13, is still there. And unfortunately, there's really no way black can defend against it. So we're noticing more and more that this D13 point is like pretty big, right? So what if black plays there instead? If white tries the same pushing tactic, we see that it actually works. Black is able to live in this situation. Let's try fancy throw in. Black will just do this, and there's really nothing to do. Black just lives easy. Can white wedge in here? That's a pretty interesting one. We can see that if white plays here, that's false, and that kills black. But if white plays on the outside, white can't play here because that's Atari. So white has to play here first, but that lets black make actually three eyes now. So that's no problem. So it looks like D13 is the winner. So if you've got that, great. Let's look just at a few others in case people thought of different things. D12. So if white pushes, and white plays D13, that critical point that we see still fails. And obviously that doesn't work. So it looks like D13 is the answer to the second problem. All right, problem number 3. And this one's pretty cool because it has a really interesting series of throw-ins that you can use to reduce and make this eye false. So we can try the simple way. Always try the simple way first. You know, if you can just quickly in like a second realize, okay, like the Hane doesn't work, pushing through doesn't work, you don't have to miss a really easy solution, right? So if we just try pushing, white will block. Obviously that doesn't work. How about this one? Nope. So white lives. So that pushing doesn't work. How about pushing from the other way? Nope. We can see in like a second that's not true. So black needs something a little bit more fancy. And this is where shortage of liberties come into play. Now, if you want to make an eye false, creating a shortage of liberties on your opponent's group is a great way to do it. What I mean by shortage of liberties is we can see that these two white stones are sort of butted in to these two black stones. Immediately for me, I see Aji there. And so you want to try to find forcing moves that make your opponent have less liberties. So if we're on the hunt for those sorts of moves, immediately I think of this move. This does the forcing aspect is white can't do anything else because black will just connect and kill. So white needs to respond. Furthermore, white needs to respond this way. There's only one move for white. This is what I mean by forcing. So that puts black stone in Atari. You're probably thinking, well, what is that going to do? Well, you can follow it up by another forcing Atari. Obviously, black can't do anything else because then these three stones will be captured. So black has to take. And when when white takes, black can just run his stone out, making that eye false and killing the group. So we can see that this forcing move of d13 made white get into a really bad shape, and then obviously can't do that, so white had to take, and now this eye is false. So it's like sort of a wraparound. And if you sort of pay attention to that shape closely, you can do it in middle game fighting too, like in the center of the board. Bunch of squeeze plays and squeeze to Sujis that sort of work off the same concept. So that's the answer to the third problem. Alright, problem number 4, black to live this time. And now you're on the hunt for how white can make your eyes false. So let's think about this a little bit. Simple first, right? What if we just take the stone? Well, white has this throw-in that creates a shortage of liberties, like I was talking about before, and can just capture. So just taking does not work. That doesn't work either, because white can just play here. That doesn't work, because white can play here. So all three of those very easily you can discount, right? So what about this one? This one feels like it doesn't work at all. It feels really bad. But it actually does. This is the correct answer. I'll show you why. You might think, well, this is a forcing move. Like, this is an Atari, right, on these 4 stones. True, but it doesn't actually matter in this case, because black can just connect, and white can't fill this in, because he'll just be killing himself. And then black can just make the 2 rooms himself. If white tries any other point, it's just not... It just doesn't work. So in this case, this forcing move actually didn't matter, because white cannot fill in that last liberty. Alright, problem number 5. We're going to try simple, as we always do. We can see that black stones are 1 move away from being captured. So let's try to save them and see what happens. This is a really cool position to study, because probably everyone will be able to find this as the first move. This is actually the correct first move, but the following sequence is a little tricky. If white plays here, black's like, alright, I can just take. But that's actually a mistake. That is a big mistake, because now white can counter capture, and black is dead. Can you see why? Black tries to capture white, white will just fill in, and then take the critical point, and there's just nothing black can do, and he is captured. So this is a trick play almost, like, don't capture, because white will recapture in this area and remove black's ability to make 2 eyes. What black should do, if you remember the last problem, it's the same idea, just in a different context. Black can play on the outside. This prevents white from filling in this shape, which means that next turn, black can just make 2 eyes, and he's totally safe. So we actually use the exact same tool we did last turn. Alright, problem number 6. So it's a little bit similar in the sense that we have a hanging group of 2 that we might want to save. So let's examine this first. So we see a few forcing moves that white can play. Immediately I see this is one, because if black doesn't respond, that just kills the whole group. So black needs to respond there. So okay. Now what can white do? White can try to start to make an eye here, but black can make an eye of his own. And now black is 1 liberty ahead and can capture those 2 white stones. So it looks like just the connection works if white does this. What if white plays here? Black has this move. That just fails outright. How about if white plays here? You gotta think about these weird stuff. Sometimes weird things do more than you would expect, but in this case it doesn't. Results in the same shape. Alright, so what if white does something else? What if white plays here? Well, black can just start to make his eye. White has a forcing move. Black just defends. And we're in the exact same shape. So that didn't change anything. Last one to try is here. But as before, black can make his one eye. And we're in the exact same situation. So, in this case, the simple move really was the one that worked. So hopefully you saw that. One last thing to try. Can white just throw in? Nope, because black can still make his eye. So the connection at D12 was the correct answer. All right, problem number 7, over halfway there. White has an eye. Question, how do we make this false? Well, you might sort of have an idea now, but we're just going to try the simple ones first. This does not work, obviously. So simple hane or pushing through won't get us anywhere. Throwing in also doesn't appear to work because of the same thing. So it appears like D13 is the critical point for white to actually get some traction. So what if we played there? You might remember from previous problems, D13 is a forcing move because white needs to play here to keep black from connecting out. So if white does play here, black can execute the double throw-in. Obviously, white can't do this because it's it's just going to kill all 4 of those stones. So white has to take. Now black can do this one more time, because if white connects, that's Atari. And black can just take. So white has to take, and now that's false. So if we take it back, forcing move, shortage of liberties, forces to take, shortage of liberties, forces to take, falsify. Problem 8, throw-ins galore is the answer to this problem. Anything other than this move fails. For obvious reasons, right? Black can't really do anything this way. So if black does this, how does this work? Well, it's not threatening to capture anything, but eventually it does. Or if white plays away, black can play away. It doesn't matter, right? Once black has the endgame opportunity, he'll just play here. That's Atari. White has to capture. That's also Atari on these 4. Right? White has to capture, and now white gets caught in a snapback, and black can kill the whole thing. So because it's a series of 3 spaces, black can take the critical point to B13 and kill. All right, problem 9. Problem 9. So we know definite eye needs to make this false. You can see this won't work. Probably those of you who have seen the previous problems are already getting the gist of this, but it's good to have similar concepts shown in different situations. Black throws in here. That's an Atari on these 2 stones, which means that white can't do this because he'll just get captured. So white has to capture himself, and now black can make that eye false and kill the white group. Problem 10. A lot going on. There is a lot going on here. So we're going to figure this out. Right away, we see that white has a potential to capture this black stone. But we could capture too. We know, so this capture won't work because white can play here. And now we're just captured no matter what. So if we were to save this group, we would have to play that direction. Unfortunately, that doesn't work either because that sets up a snapback. So we can see that at first this problem seems complicated, but when you think about it, there's literally no way to save these black stones right now. So if there's no way to save them right now, the problem is now basically a 2-part problem. Can we make this eye false? If we can make this eye false, then this will be the only eye white gets, and we've killed the group. If we can't make this eye false, can we make it such that it has a shortage of liberties and it can never come back to capture these black stones? So these are things to think about. These are the 2 ideas now we have to have in our heads. Not can we save these stones, but can we either make this false or make this have a shortage of liberties? So let's think about, let's do the simple one first, the push. White can make an eye. Now if black tries to save, it unfortunately still doesn't work because white still sets up the snapback. Furthermore, if black tries to take away white's liberties and make it so that white can never play c13 because black will capture, white can just take that stone that's in Atari. And now white is alive. So the simple push does not work. So does something more dynamic work? Now we've sort of distilled the problem into, okay, just getting him having a shortage of liberties isn't good enough. We need to give him a shortage of liberties in Sente so we can save our black stones, if that makes sense. So let's try this throw-in. White will play there. Now we see this is a forcing move now, whereas before it wasn't. This is forcing to just break everything out, which means white needs to play something like here or here. But we know that this doesn't work because that's self-Atari and black can just capture, which means the only move white can play is this one. Now things are looking a little more our way. Now black can just protect, and white can never do this because it's a self-Atari. So let's take that back to sort of the train of thought that we had when solving this problem. First, we were like, oh god, this is really complicated, what do we do? And then we step back and we're like, wait a minute, there's no way to save these black stones as it is. This way doesn't work, and this way doesn't work. Okay, so now the problem became, can we make the eye on the right, the half eye on the right, false? Answer, not really. It's pretty easy to make this real, no matter what. Okay, third question, since we can't make it false, can we give it a shortage of liberties so then we can make it so that white can never end up playing c13 to capture us? We saw this didn't work because to take away white's last liberty, that's a gote move, and white can just take. But if we throw in, and we give this forcing move, that is now a Sente move, and we can save our stone, and there's no way white can defend this. Black will just end up taking this stone whenever he wants, and then at some point later on in the game, he'll just fill in, go, and capture those stones. So if you saw that sequence, congratulations. That's a hard thing to see. So it turns out this was the correct move. All right, 2 more to go. Black to live. Complicated problem. We can look at some ways white can kill us. To start, obviously if white plays here, we don't get that eye. Here is another one, which actually makes this eye false. So let's go through one at a time what white can do if black tanukis. Obviously that kills because, I mean, black just can't do it all. Or here doesn't work. Like I said, it's a forcing move. But now it's Atari. So black needs to defend that, and now it's only one eye. So these are 2 critical points right off the bat that black needs to think about. So the question is, you know, how is black going to defend both of these at once? So there's a proverb in Go called "The cunning rabbit has 3 holes." What that means is you want to create a situation where there's 3 ways to make eyes, such that if your opponent takes away 1, you can still have 2 left to live. So is there a way to give black the ability to make 3 sets of eyes here? This one fails, because that's just Atari, and that's 1 eye. Okay, that doesn't work. What about this one? It seems like this push is like ruining our day, right? If white takes away this eye, black lives. That's a living shape. So we think we're onto something here. Black or white can't even throw in because it's still alive. All right, what if white pushes through? Black has 2 ways to live. No matter what white takes, black will take the other one. and the throw-in is the same thing. 2 ways to live. One this way, or one this way. So we can see that this move created 3 holes. The rabbit has 3 holes. 3 ways for black to live. Make an eye here, make an eye here, or make an eye here. So this move actually was the correct answer to the problem. Alright guys, last problem of the set. I hope you learned a lot. And this is also a really cool one. So we can see white has the potential for a bunch of different ways to make eyes. Obviously, if white plays here, there will be an eye here. And then there's like a whole thing going on down here. So let's think about if black takes the simple way. What if black just pokes here, right? Then white can do that whole rabbit has 3 holes thing that we said before. That's threatening to make an eye here, here, and here. So if black takes this one, white has these, right? Black, not there. Black takes here, white has this. So letting white get that move with this being open is a problem. So let's start going to work on this side. What if black just pushes? Same thing. Black plays here, white goes here. This is called mi-eye, right? 2 ways for white to live, no matter what black does. If black takes one, white takes the other. So that forcing move doesn't work. But if you've been doing these problems, you probably can start looking at more imaginative ways. And one that immediately I see is this one. And why do I see this one as really anything? Well, it's a forcing move. If white takes this as an eye, black will just play here, and that's an Atari. Then black can play here, preventing white from disconnecting him. And now white has no eyes that are real. Keep in mind, if we were to do this, then white just lives. So it's not enough to find the first move. You've got to find all the follow-ups too. Even this way, obviously white can't do that because black will take. That fails because white can make 2 eyes. So it's, like I said, the first move isn't enough. You need to see all of the ends. So this Atari is a great forcing move. And this creates a shape that white can never, ever take away. And that is the solution to this problem. So we identified that, okay, there's one move white needs, E12, to be able to live in 3 ways. What if we took that point? We see that's also a forcing move, so we calculate, okay, white needs to sort of defend, and if he defends this way, black can take away this eye. And now it's just one eye, and that's a dead shape. And if white decides to try to get this as an eye, black will Atari and move over to the left, keeping himself from getting disconnected. So that is how, these are some new ways to live, new ways to kill. You learned how to use the throw-in in different ways, and you also learned how to give yourself 3 avenues of escape when you're trying to live, so that no matter what your opponent takes away, you have 2 eyes to work with. You also learned how to sort of see that for your opponent, so you can use forcing moves to take those away. So I hope you learned some stuff from these 12 problems. Give me a like and a comment if I should keep doing this. I think every 50 problems is a good pace. They're getting more difficult at a good rate, so I like this. Like, subscribe, consider support, all that good stuff. Great to be able to make videos for you guys, and I hope you appreciate them, and I hope you learn from them. So, see you on the grid.